the urgency and the time expectation of this. Vacation usually lasts, let's say, a week. We're going to put a time on it. We have 1 week that is a set amount of time, and a lot of stuff is happening in that 1 week. If we keep our heads down and do the next thing, it gets done. But oftentimes we can miss each other in the whole process of the doing.
Yeah.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Chad, and we discuss issues that couples face in everyday life. Then we set you up to have a conversation with your partner that's designed to bring you closer together.
This is the Connecting Couples podcast with the Real Imhoffs. Real conversations for a real connection. The vacation has come to an end. Hopefully you've had an amazing time, and now it's time to return home. What does re-entry look like? A lot of times this can also cause distress. Every single point of this whole vacation experience has the chance to produce distress, but it can also produce a really great time, great memories, and you can really enjoy yourself. What we want to do is set you up to feel connected, to stay aligned from beginning to end. And so let's finish strong with the return.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because, you know, how many times have you heard people say, I feel like I need a vacation from my vacation?
That's us.
I probably will be guilty of it again, but a lot of times when I'm coming home, it's like day 3 or 4 of the vacation. Let's say we're taking a 5-day vacation. That's realistic for us. And we're ready to come home. By day like 4, I'm already thinking about, okay, what's next week? And it's just the nature of my job, I guess, or maybe it's just me, but I'm like already kind of like getting ahead of my schedule, thinking about who do I need to make sure I see or schedule, or what's going on with my work. Am I checking my email? So I kind of like start to transition back into work before we're ever done with vacation. And so by the time we're home, I'm like, I'm back full bore. A lot of times we come back, we go straight to something, then wake up and I go right to work, and we're just completely back in the game or into the work cycle. So it's tough, man. It's tough to go on vacation. It's tough to come home. And I almost am like, I try to like even going into a vacation, like hold it with like, oh yeah, that's just a few days where I'm gonna get to do some of the things I want to do. I think it's easy to make a vacation, again, back to expectations a little bit, make it more than it should be. And I'm like, this is just a set amount of time, and that's going to be done, but I want to enjoy it when I'm there. So kind of finding a way to balance that stuff out and not let it come between us too. Yeah.
Two things I want to say. One, I was just thinking as you were talking about the out of office replies that people get when they're like, you know, I cannot respond to your email right now because I'm out for a week. I almost want to build into that. And let's be honest, it'll take me 2 more days after that return date to get back to you anyway, because it's hard to return. But I was thinking also about this idea that your brother Josh actually said a long time ago, or maybe you said it to him, I can't remember, but it was, if you live a lifestyle that is so stressed and so busy that you're expecting to gain all your rest on a week of vacation, you're never going to achieve it.
Right.
And so this is a lifestyle thing for us where we have had to realize that we can't pack it all into 1 week and catch up for the amount of de-stress, declutter, all the, decompression stuff, and then turn around, re-enter, and expect that we're going to be rested and relaxed. It has now had to become a lifestyle, how we build more rest into our day-to-day, and also a mindset of vacation of what we're really getting out of it. So being able, again, to have a conversation that says, hey, what is the expectation on the return? And how do we restart to regular life, normal life, typical life, whatever wording you want to use there.
Yeah.
That is our day-to-day, Monday through Friday schedule, in a way that is as smooth as possible. Sometimes it's not very smooth. Sometimes we re-enter and I feel like it's, one of those rocket ships coming back in that lands somewhere in the middle of the ocean and you have to collect all the pieces. I don't know what that's like. How do we have a smooth re-entry and everybody understands what their role is, what the expectation is? I think it can be pretty tricky.
Well, and I know it's tricky. We do it, and I'm sure we're going to do it probably next week in some ways. So I'm like, we're going to go on this trip, and it's a work trip, but it's still going to be, we're going to come home, and we're going to come in hot, so to speak, and it's going to be like, hey, next thing. And really making a plan for like, okay, don't expect to be rested when I get back, which I know that sounds terrible, but I don't expect for my vacation to make me rested most of the time. Yeah. Our vacations are our vacations we end up doing quite a bit. And a lot of times, whether man, I would like to say that air travel is better. I honestly think air travel sometimes for me is worse because I can't control anything, and I feel like it's all at the whim of whoever's running the airline. And I'm not knocking any airline here, but I just want to say, like, gosh, just getting back.
Yeah.
I don't expect vacation to be a recovery period for me most of the time. Most of my vacations, I don't even want to go to that. I want to go do something that's active and engaged and has a lot of things happening. So I need to just know that about myself.
Yeah.
When I come home, I'll probably, hopefully, in my mind, be a little bit tired from the vacation, but I'm going to have to get back into the groove of work and get back into the mix, and for me, I like that. I don't want my vacation to be boring. So that's and I say boring. Some people are like, rest isn't boring, Chad. I know. Okay. For you, it's not. I get it. But for me, I'm like, I don't want to sit around. I've never wanted to sit around. And so I'd like to be doing something. I want to wake up early and go on a bike ride, or I want to go to the beach, or I want to go to the pool, or I want to go to the Mayan ruins, or whatever it is that there is to go see and do. That's kind of how I am. And that's what I want to do. So when I get home, I will be tired.
We tend to bring you content that we are experiencing in our personal life. In our last series where we discussed healing from past wounds, we were discussing some things in our own relationship that had been coming up. And we thought, man, this is good for us to share with our listeners. And so very timely, we have just had my parents visit, and with them, we went camping. So we had a camping excursion that we went on. And next week, actually, we leave to go to Colorado. We're going to be doing a marriage conference, a Creative for Connection workshop in Colorado. We're excited about that. And we're doing both a work trip and visiting family trip. I don't know if we can call it a vacation, but it is what it is. It is travel. And so all of these elements that we've been discussing with you, we're having to discuss. We come back, we have a week and a half of work, and then we turn around and actually go on our vacation, which we are taking a road trip to the beach, and we're going to enjoy time on the beach and are having this very discussion. Chad and I both like doing things, and yet we regret that when we come back, we're exhausted. So we're trying to find the balance of how much doing, how much rest, and how can we make reentry as smooth as possible. Even a few weeks ago when we did go camping, we came back and Chad was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to help Angela by unpacking some of the things in the camper and immediately throwing a load of laundry in, which in retrospect was a brilliant idea, and I'm so glad that he did it. In my mind, I was thinking the first thing I want to do is pull all the sheets off the camper beds because I want to wash those so that I can pack them back up and they can go back in the camper for storage. And so when he said, hey, I put laundry in, immediately I felt triggered because that wasn't what I was hoping I would wash first. Now, again, that's splitting hairs because he did a great thing. But even us being able to say, hey, when we get back and pull into our driveway, we've got to unpack. We've got to, greeting the dogs is always a whole big ordeal. They're very excited to see us. Don't you always want to be greeted like your dogs when you return from vacation? They're just like crazily, happily excited to see us again. We have to unpack. We have to do laundry. We have to start wrapping our brains around what is the next step? What does tomorrow look like if we have not been setting alarms to wake up and tomorrow we have to wake up at 8 o'clock and get everybody out the door? That can start to add its own level of stress. And I've noticed with us, we come back and as connected as we have been for the whole week, all of a sudden, nobody's talking to each other. And it's not even that we don't like each other. It's just that everybody, maybe it's like a little bit of grief or something. Even our kid is, hey, can I go in my room and play? And she has like some alone time to grapple with the fact that she's about to get back on a schedule or something. There is just this tone of the return that we have had to navigate and discuss so that it runs as smoothly as possible. And we haven't always had a smooth return. It is something we are working on, have worked on, and will continue to work on.
Well, I want to say, Ange, if you're talking about the return, I think it's a lot like the exit. Like you have a certain way that you like for it to go, and I'm not giving you a hard time for it. But when we come back, it's like, I remember, oh man, it had to be like the second year we were married. We come home and the stuff's in the car and I go inside and I'm like ready to like just chill out for a minute or I don't know, have a sandwich. I don't know, maybe it's dinner time, who knows? But I'm like ready to like take a break from the trip and she's like pulling suitcases in and unpacking them. I'm like, what is she doing? Like, why is she already unpacking? Like, can't you just leave those in the car for tomorrow or something? Or like, we'll get to that. And she's like, just the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. I'm like, man, okay, we got to get to that. And I'm like, I don't know. We just had different expectations.
Yeah.
And again, I think expectations are a funny way to think of it in some ways, but I do. I think if you can just communicate, okay, when we get back, this is what I want done. So then I get on your team and I'm like, like this last week, I'm like, get home, or 2 weeks ago.
He did so good.
I'm like, throw a load of laundry in because I'm like, I know she likes that. I'm going to get all the stuff out of the camper. We're going to wipe the camper down, clean everything out. Like this is how that'll go. And I'm like, wait a second. Now I'm in trouble for doing the right thing. Not in a bad way. Like, it wasn't big trouble, but I'm like, it was quick. It was a quick little like, wait, I have another plan. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, but we didn't communicate the plan. And at some level, I'm like, golly, do you have to just always be communicating the next plan, or can we not like fall into rhythm? And I think we can find rhythm at some point, but I think if you don't have rhythm, or if you find yourself off, I think going back to communication about what you expect or expectations is a pretty good spot to start. Go ahead, sorry.
I love that you brought up early on in our relationship not unpacking the suitcases, because I know there have been vacations where the suitcases go on the dresser, we open them up, and then like for the next 5 or 6 days, we're living out of the suitcases.
Well, I mean,
where's the toothbrush? It's still in the toiletries bag. Okay, we're brushing our teeth, and we put it away as we use it again.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know that it's ever been 5 or 6 days, Angela. 5 or 6 hours, maybe.
No.
but I'm like, I don't think that. I mean, in my life,
doesn't now.
In my life, it has happened.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, I get home and I'll just work through the suitcase and put it away when it's empty. Like, it doesn't bother me. Or like, just like I guess I could pack in a trash bag at some level. I'm like, doesn't bother me. And I'm like, even the process of packing, like, I'm like, okay, 5 pairs of underwear, 5 pairs of shorts, 5 shirts, 5 socks, 5. Oh, let's throw a couple more of this, a couple more of that. Okay, we're good. Let's go. Like, I'm not really spending a lot of time thinking about the packing process. I'm like, I can be done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think you put a lot more thought and energy into it. And so me kind of knowing that, I'm like, okay, well, I'll give her a little more space to do it. And in the same way with unpacking, it's like, oh, she spent a little more thought and energy about how she wants it to go, even down to the sheets already being clean when we get home.
I will even, if we're on vacation for longer than 4 or 5 days, in my mind, plan laundry on vacation, which who wants to do laundry on vacation? Nobody does. But you know what I don't want to do also is 25 loads of laundry when I return from vacation.
I got to tell you, I love that. I love that idea. And I'm like, this isn't tips and tricks, but I'm like, if you can do a load or two of laundry like halfway through the vacation while you're at the beach, throw it in and then come back and dry it. And that's great, because then you've got like another set of clothes, but you've also got your stuff ready to go. This is honestly, I've got to share another tip.
I know what you're
Take the laundry basket. Oh my gosh, it's brilliant. I mean, especially if you're driving, but like taking a laundry basket with you that is the dirty clothes, and you throw your pillows or whatever in there when you leave. But when you get there, you've got a laundry basket, you've got it ready to go. I'm like, that was the best thing that.
It was an accidental tip that we discovered. We threw all of our shoes into a laundry basket once and took them. And when we arrived, pulled the shoes out of the laundry basket and had it and started throwing dirty clothes. And we're like, this is the best thing we've ever done.
Well, and I know that they make
now we do it.
Well, they make other bags and things you can use for that. But I'm like, just to have it was kind of nice. I know we're kind of off the topic, but honestly, finding things that work for you, and whether that's coming in re-entry and unloading and unpacking, and honestly, it only takes 30 or 40 minutes and you don't have to think about it again. So I really appreciate that you did that. But for me, I'm like, golly, doing that works, and that gets us set up for life. And honestly, we know that we don't come back with a lot of space. We kind of pack it in, even our vacations. And you say we kind of regret that. I don't necessarily regret it. I'm like, I'm okay with that. Like, I'll wake up the next day and go to work and be a little tired.
So we've discussed this, and even in our notes here I have, do you have a recovery day built in to your return? And what we have found is that Chad does a really good job of, I'm home, I'm unpacked, tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go to work. And some point in that work day, I think his brain, just by nature of the beast, re-enters and he's back to normal. For me, I have found that it is really hard for me to the next day go right back to it. So I tend to build a recovery day in.
Yeah.
And so I have one extra day to make sure all that laundry did get done and put away. Make sure that I know what the schedule is. Make sure that my kids' schedule is on target. Make sure that I now, because we had a whole week of no grocery shopping and an empty fridge, remember, because I cleaned the fridge out before we left.
Mm-hmm. And cut the watermelon. Go ahead.
Cut the watermelon up. Now I have to go grocery shopping so that I can get our family ready for the next week or getting back to the swing of things. And so these are things we learned the hard way, which sadly is how we learn some of
Yeah.
these things, or maybe even not the hard way, just through experience. Growing up, I don't think any of us are like taking notes on how to vacation well. Maybe you did, maybe your family did, and
That'd be
if so,
impressive.
kudos. But I think when two people come together, you bring both of those experiences, and rarely have I found a couple whose families vacationed the same.
I know.
A lot of times families have vacationed differently, and you have to navigate now your own way of vacationing, of traveling, of enjoying yourself, of resting or adventuring, of returning, and what it looks like. And so knowing yourself in the process is kind of a repetitive theme in this whole series that we're doing, is being flexible, being able to communicate expectations, knowing yourself and letting your partner in on what your process is. Again, it is so easy to assume he or she must be mad at me or mad at something, when really they're just focused on the urgency and the time expectation of this. Vacation usually lasts, let's say, a week. We're going to put a time on it. We have 1 week that is a set amount of time, and a lot of stuff is happening in that 1 week. If we keep our heads down and do the next thing, it gets done. But oftentimes we can miss each other in the whole process of the doing.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you. It's like, if we don't discuss it, if we don't know what our expectation is, man, we just miss. And then you kind of like fumble your way through it.
Yeah.
You know, I see, and I have seen people that go on vacation and have a great time, and I've seen people that go on vacation and have a terrible time. I know people that I work with that come back from vacation and they're exhausted from the vacation, or they're completely relaxed from the vacation. They're ready to get back to work. I don't know that there's any one like set way to do it. I think it's about getting to know each other and what our expectations are, what our hopes are for the vacation. You know, another little side note that it keeps popping in my head, so I'll share it. But it's just like, you never really vacation away burnout. You don't vacation away a bad marriage.
Yeah.
Like we can't go on enough vacations for us to stay connected. I've seen people try that, and that doesn't necessarily work. You go on a vacation and you just fight on vacation, but you always come back home. You know, even if you can make it work on the vacation, you're going to be back in this place. And so I would just encourage you, like, have a plan for the vacation, and especially for the re-entry. You know, I know we want to go up to the place, the beach, whatever it is, the mountains, but I'm like, having a plan for like, what does it look like to come back home and get back to what I'm called to, what it is that I'm enjoying at my work or in my home, or whatever it is that you feel like you're a part of, and where you kind of find your energy. Vacation isn't a place to go get re-energized. I think I hear people say that sometimes, and I'm like, man, that just doesn't really work.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, like I said, vacation away burnout. You have to have purpose in your life before you go, or else you're never going to get enough vacation. It doesn't feed you.
I do find that when we're on vacation, you and I tend to have more evaluation conversations, which then you can put a plan in place on the reentry. Like, there have been a lot of times on our drive home where we discuss, hey, are we living our life the way we want to? And we have made some decisions on vacation and made some decisions on our return home, on that drive home, where we're reflecting, we need more of this, or we need to make an adjustment. And then re-entry can go, we're going to include this adjustment. I know this happens for us, but other couples as well. That's like the day after vacation, something new is starting. Whether it's the diet that's starting, or the waking up early to work out is starting, or we're going to go on a budget, or whatever it is. And that's great. Sometimes that is where you get an opportunity to go, hey, we are going to focus on us on vacation, and now we're going to return home, and on that return home, we're going to realign. Our drive home tends to be that reset conversation where we're like, okay, reflect, what went well, what do we need to adjust? Now, starting tomorrow, are there any new things that are going to be put in place? And when we have the conversation, then we both know we're on the same team. It's almost like that's what we're doing. We're on the same team, and here's what we're starting. Let's do it. And it gives us just a little bit more of a direction that we can try to stay aligned the way that we aligned while we were away.
Yeah, well, and I love it, man. It is a good time to evaluate. It is a good time to go, wait, have I been going at such a frantic pace that I haven't had time for myself or my kid or my wife, whoever it is? Like, I'm like, so it's good to kind of slow down and go, wait, do I like what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I don't expect vacation to fix it.
No.
It'll take work when I get back, but like, to evaluate it and say, am I happy with this?
Yeah.
Am I happy with what I'm doing? I think sometimes people do that too much, but I think it's a worthwhile thing to think about on vacation, and especially as you're thinking about coming back. Do I want to keep going at the pace I've been going? Do I need to build different things or habits, routines, rituals into my relationship or into my life that work well for me?
And that brings us to our Connect Point. The Connect Point is designed to help you have a different conversation about how you experience your relationship.
Small adjustments lead to big change over time. Take some time to practice with us now.
So in this Connect Point, we're acknowledging re-entry can be difficult. We want you to consider, what is one thing that could make my return home from vacation more smooth? That it could go just better and set me up to return to life in a way where we feel aligned and we feel like things are on track. Again, we're not asking you to consider what your partner can do differently. We're asking you to self-reflect and go, what is something I can do differently? And what would that contribute to the process of the return? So take some time, consider that one thing, and see if you can share it with your partner to put a plan in place for your return from vacation so that you can not only enjoy and reflect on the great time you had, but set yourself up to now continue on a pattern of alignment where you both stay connected and get back to normal.
Thanks so much for listening to us. If you've enjoyed this podcast, one of the best things you can do for us is to share it with another couple that you think could benefit from it.
You can rate us and give us a review on your listening platform, and you can follow us on our Facebook page, The Real Imhoffs, where we share ideas about relationship along with upcoming workshops and speaking engagements we'll have. We love to hear from our listeners, so feel free to message or email us with ideas you might like us to talk about or the ways that our Connect Point conversations are impacting your relationship. Thanks again.